Hello and welcome to Brewers Daily, part of the Fan Arch Podcast Network. This episode is brought to you by Kalshi. Use promo code FANARCHBASEBALL to get $10 when you trade 10. I'm Dave Gasper. It is a Friday show here, and the Brewers have wrapped up their series against the Pirates with a series win. We'll talk about that and talk about the upcoming series against the Twins this weekend, and some notes on some of the position players here for the Brewers. But coming out of Thursday's finale there against the Pirates, Dustin May making his Brewers debut after being acquired at the trade deadline. And Dustin May historically has kind of struggled in day games this year and struggled away from Busch Stadium, but he did a really good job in his first game for the Brewers. A quality start, 6 innings, 2 earned runs, 5 strikeouts, scattering 3 hits. So Dustin May looking pretty good there in his first start for the Brewers. Took him 23 pitches to get through the first inning. So kind of, struggled a little bit out of the gates there, with efficiency, but still able to make it through 6, able to give you a really good chance to win, and the Brewers did win. So that's all you can ask for, really. I mean, that is the most important part. Put the team in a chance to win, have them be able to win. That's really all that you can look for and ask for from him, from any of these guys. Really, that's how you need to set it up. So it's a great way to kind of start off on the right foot for Dustin May. It's still kind of like weird looking, almost like seeing him in a Brewers uniform. But we'll get used to it kind of as the rest of the season goes on here, because he's going to be a big piece for this group down the stretch. And it's only been, I mean, he had the 3 walks in there as well. You want to cut those down a little bit, but it's only been he's only had like 2 days to work with the Brewers pitching lab, to work with Chris Hook and Jim Henderson and those guys. So I think as time goes along, he's going to continue to just get better with this group and how they're going to be working with him. I saw a report from Robert Murray that he had one executive text him that Dustin May with the Brewers might be unstoppable. Like they might really unlock this kid, because he has really fantastic stuff. He always has. It's been the injury issues over his career. Then he has started to take some step forwards recently. The Cardinals kind of helped him take a couple of steps forward, but there's still more definitely in there to unlock. But he's much closer to actually being able to unlock it all now than he was a couple of years ago. So I think the Brewers are really going to be able to jump on unlocking him here, and maybe hopefully have an unstoppable force to go against that Dodgers lineup and anyone else in the National League playoffs, and potentially the World Series down the stretch. So that's fingers crossed for all of that. But so he had a really solid debut there. Chad Patrick gets the save in the win, because Trevor McGill had pitched each of the 2 nights before. Abner Uribe had also pitched 2 nights before, locking down those saves. So you had to turn elsewhere, and they turned to Chad Patrick, and he was ultimately able to get the job done. You had to do maybe a little bit of replay in there, but you're able to get the job done, and the Brewers were able to get the win. And like, you had another game here where David Hamilton was starting over Joey Ortiz. And Joey Ortiz obviously swinging a hot bat over the last month or so, and it's led to a lot of questions wondering why. Why is David Hamilton coming back from the IL and all of a sudden playing all the time over Joey Ortiz, it seems. You got the guy who's swinging the hot bat, keep him in the lineup, right? It makes sense. Okay, he's on a streak, he's on a heater. Like, don't cool him off by having him sit for a couple of days. And so basically, I mean, what the Brewers have at third base is kind of a timeshare of the position. I mean, they're going to have Joey Ortiz in there against lefties, and he'll play against some of the righties. But again, it is going to kind of matter based on the matchups. Whether some guys have reverse splits, or what their pitch mix is. If it's something that's more advantageous to Joey, they'll have Joey in there. If it's something that's more advantageous to having someone like Hamilton in there, they're going to have Hamilton in there. So that's just kind of the way it's played out over the past couple of days, where it's been a whole bunch in a row of David Hamilton. But still, um, you kind of wonder too at some point where it's like, look, I understand matchups, righty lefty, things like that, and yeah, maybe you can have some pitch mix stuff in there, but you do have a guy on a heater. And a guy on a heater, like the one that Ortiz has been on, that could maybe, buck some of those trends of like, oh, this pitch mix he doesn't do as well against. He might be able to get to it when he's feeling good like that, feeling good, feeling confident, because so much of hitting, so much of playing baseball, it is just confidence. It is feeling like you can do it. If you're going in there with no confidence in the box, it doesn't matter how great your swing is, it doesn't matter what you do, you are not going to be able to have any sort of success at all. You have to have confidence on the plate, you have to have confidence when you're on the mound, you have to have confidence when you're playing the field. You can't be feeling like, oh no, this is not going to go well for me, because then it's not. I mean, it's not going to go well for you if that is your mindset going into it. And that's just almost anything in life. Like if you go into anything throughout the day just feeling like, oh, this is just going to go horribly, I don't think I'm going to be good at this. If that's truly your mindset, it's not going to end up going well. It's just not. But if you go into the mindset of like, hey, I'm doing really well, this is going to go great, much better chances it actually goes great. So, but the confidence certainly has been growing and has been there for Ortiz as of late. So it's like, okay, yeah, you want to get him in there, get him playing a whole lot more. Even if the right-handed matchup or whatever it is may not necessarily be advantageous, because sometimes you can buck trends. I mean, we saw it with Christian Yelich the other day. I mean, he gets the standing ovation a little bit. He gets the extra cheer, and next thing you know, he turns on a slider on the inside corner that he has been whiffing on all season. And he's able to turn on it and rip it down the line for a double. So like that kind of juice, that kind of confidence and energy, like it actually can legitimately make a difference. So that's just kind of where I really would like to see the Brewers kind of try and continue to go with that confidence and keep him in there on a more regular basis. Maybe sitting him, once or twice. I mean, like, okay, not having him face Paul Skeens, I get it. But at the same time, it's like, look, when you have those kind of 3 days in a row there, it's like maybe you just, give him a day to go out there. Just like, yeah, you know what, see if you can. Because then you risk sitting him too long and that, heat wave that he's on might cool off. And that's also what you don't want to have. So that makes it a very, very tough conundrum for manager Pat Murphy. But what's not a tough conundrum is that you can trade every single game on Kalshi throughout the season. And the Milwaukee Brewers taking on the Minnesota Twins here for this weekend series. They take 3 or 4 from Pittsburgh, and now they take on Minnesota. They were buyers at the trade deadline, but they're coming off a series loss to Kansas City. So I'm looking at the Brewers, and I'm looking at the Brewers winning this game by 1.5 runs. So if they win by 2, that covers that. And currently, the Brewers winning by 1.5 runs is trading at 44% on Kalshi, and that means a $100 trade pays out $222 with a win. And that is a very nice piece of winnings right there for you to be able to get. On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use promo code FANARCHBASEBALL to get $10 when you trade 10. KALSHI, Kalshi, trade on anything. Okay, now, big decision also coming up here for the Brewers when it comes to their infield. Jake Bauers has remained out of the lineup the past 3 days since he belly flopped into home plate on Monday. He has been out with abdominal soreness, and now you're kind of getting to the point where you might have to make an IL decision here, because when it comes to the IL, you can backdate 3 days for these guys. So it has been 3 games now that Jake Bauers has been scratched and has not played. So, are things getting better to the point where he feels like he can play in a game here soon? Hopefully. That's I think kind of the hope here, but if he continues to remain out, I mean, you're sitting a man down on your bench, and that is not a good situation to be in when you only have a four-man bench nowadays with designated hitter and all that. So you're approaching decision time here if you're the Milwaukee Brewers, because if he needs more time, and you got to kind of have him day to day and have a man down, you may just have to put him on the injured list. Call up Tyler Black and just kind of go from there and have a full, fresh bench that you can go with. I understand why you don't want to put Jake Bauers on the IL, why you want to give him a chance to get through this, but he's made it through the 3 days so far. Clearly, did not get him back into playing action. Now, granted, Thursday was a day game. Coming after even though it's coming after a night game, it's still it's a day game. It's like, okay, look, we can have him sit out today and just kind of get that full kind of day and a half almost more of rest before coming in for Friday night's game against the Twins. So I'm hoping that Jake Bauers is going to be able to be back for Friday night's game, but if not, maybe we'll see a transaction here before the game, because you're kind of coming close to making a decision there, because you can backdate still the 3 days. The Brewers can backdate to Tuesday right now if they would want to. If they make this move prior to the game, they can backdate to Tuesday, and that way you only need a much shorter time there on the injured list. I mean, you only need the 10 days, so it would only have to be an extra week that he'd have to be out before he can come back. So if he still needs a little bit more to get over that abdominal soreness, an IL stint may make the most sense. Tyler Black would probably make the most sense to get the call up in that case, because they play the same kind of positions. They're both left-handed. So that's what I'm kind of looking for. I'm looking for a Jake Bauers decision today, whether he's in the lineup or whether he's on the IL, something like that. But they have to be making a decision soon here, because of that backdating rule. And because, I mean, you just simply can't be a man down on the bench, for an extended period of time. You got to have a full bench, if at Pat Murphy's disposal. So that's something that I think we should keep an eye on here for today's game, as they start the series here against the Minnesota Twins. So the Twins, I mean, they had the big fire sale last year at the trade deadline, and this year they were buyers at the trade deadline, bringing in a couple of pieces that are trying to help them compete in a very weak American League Central division. Everyone always tries to say, like at the beginning of the year, that the NL Central is always a weak one. They've been saying that for a couple of years, until the Brewers continue to blow everyone out of the water. And it's the AL Central that's really a weak division. But the Twins are sitting there at 57 and 59. So they're 2 games under 500, but they're only 3 games back at first place. The White Sox are leading that division at 59 and 55. So it is anyone's race in that division. No, except for the Royals. The Royals are 20 games under 500. They're 12 games back. It's pretty much over for them. But still, yeah, 0.0% chance to win the division or make the playoffs on Fangraphs. So sorry about it. But look, they are bringing in a couple of additions there. They got in Dean Kramer, they got in Jeff Hoffman, AJ Minter. So they made some trade deadline moves there, getting some guys in to help out this group. But this series coming up, this game tonight, Zebby Matthews is going to be the starter for the Twins in this game. 4-8 with a 5.22 ERA, right-handed pitcher. Matthews, I believe, just getting recalled from the minors for this start here tonight. Joe Ryan getting placed on the 15-day IL. So that's not good news for the Twins, because Joe Ryan is their best starting pitcher. So not having him is going to put them in a bit of a tough spot. But Zebby Matthews is going to end up getting the start tonight. Shane Drowan is on the bump for the Crew. 6-4 with a 3.48 ERA. I'll be kind of curious to see what happens with this final rotation spot. If the Brewers roll with a 6-man for a little while longer, but when they go back to a 5-man, if they do, who leaves it? Will it be Shane Drowan, who is pitching tonight, or Robert Gasser, perhaps, who is pitching on Saturday. So it's Robert Gasser on Saturday, 3-4 with a 4.48 ERA. And then Taj Bradley is going to be pitching for the Twins on Saturday, right-handed pitcher, 9-4 with a 3.69 ERA. He's having a solid season. And then Sunday is Miz Day. Jacob Mizorowski will have the start on Sunday afternoon in the matinee, 11-5, a 1.63 ERA on the season. He has been electric, 195 strikeouts. So he's gonna hit 200 strikeouts by like the second inning, I would guess. That's probably when he's gonna hit that. And he's going up against a left-hander, the pride of Toma. Connor Prelip is getting the start there for the Minnesota Twins, 3-5 with a 4.75 ERA. Shout out to anyone in Toma over there. Love the Cooley region, love the Driftless area. But yeah, Connor Prelip from there, and went to school at Alabama and has now made it with the Twins, and pitching decently well for them. So he'll be able to start here against the Brewers and start at American Family Field, and he'll get to do so against Jacob Mizorowski. So good luck, kid. But it's quite the pitching matchups that the Brewers have here against Minnesota. Drowan, Gasser, and Miz for these 3 games against Minnesota. So it's going to be quite the weekend series as Brewers wrap up at home before they head back out west to have their next road trip. So that's going to be another couple of late nights next week. But hey, look, that's just kind of how the schedule ended up being made. But the Brewers have their series first here against Minnesota. They're going to have to try and take them down and take at least 2 out of 3 and continue trying to keep pace as the pace leader in the National League Central and the National League overall, and try and get that top seed. So should be a fun weekend series, and we'll be back on Monday, of course, breaking everything down. But for everything in the meantime, follow me on X at dgasper24. Appreciate all of you watching and listening, and we'll see you again next time for another episode of Brewers Daily.